How's it going, everyone? My name is Scout Moss, and welcome to Intermediate Next.js. I've been using Next.js since the beginning, and since then I've built many production apps. Next.js has come a long way, and recently they introduced tons of new features that are quite powerful. And I created this course because I want to share those features and how I use them in production. Some of the things we're going to cover are client-side fetching versus server-side fetching, caching strategies when it comes to requests on the server side, suspense and how that relates to new features in React, and so much more. By the end of the course, you'll feel comfortable taking advantage of some of the more advanced features that Next.js has to offer in production. And just to get some more reps let's just go do the same thing for sign in. So it's mostly the same thing. It's literally just changing the word from sign up to sign in. It's just a duplicate. So I'm not gonna walk through it. I'll just kind of paste it in there. But just to make sure our app works and our users can sign in, we wanna do that. So let's just go ahead and do that. I'm just gonna go to the sign in form. I'm gonna add my submit button here. I'm gonna make a label. It's gonna say sign in. Just like that. And then I'm going to import the sign in user. I think that's what I called it. Sign in. Maybe I didn't export it. Let me go check. Oh, we didn't make it yet. Oh, let's go make it. Cool. So if we go back to the actions auth file, let's make the one for sign in. So export sign in user. It's gonna be the same thing. Previous state. Just gonna any that form data, and that's gonna be type form data. Nothing crazy. Why did I put that there? I don't know. I'm like trying to do something crazy. Here we go. All right. So we got that. Same thing. We want to validate the input because can't trust these users. Do that. And then we just want to try catch. And the only difference with this one is the function that it calls in the try catch. So we won't call the sign up function. We'll call the sign in function from the same import from @utils auth tools. But everything else is the same. When you set the cookie, we show you failed to, I guess we'll change the message to failed to sign you in. We should actually test this. So I want you to see the error message. So we'll do that too. So there we got that. Now I can import my sign in user like so. I can get my hook going, which is going to be use form state, pass in my sign in user like that, pass in my initial state, which is going to be the same as sign up. And then I'll have my form state here. And then I have my action here. And then on the form, action. And then as far as showing some errors, I mean, there's no wrong way to do this, but I'll just do something like this. I'll say form state dot message. If that's there, I'm gonna do this just in case. If that's there, then just show this message right quick, which will just be form state dot message. I'm just gonna show exactly what the server action return. I'll just do that. You can also hook this up, if you're worried about accessibility, this is where you can take this message and feed it to a screen reader or something like that. Okay, so let's try to sign in. I'm gonna just break it and hopefully we can see that error. So let's go back to sign in. That renders, give it a real email. Sorry about that. And then we can do that. And then boom, you can see right here, failed to sign you in. Caching in Next.js is it's way different than the pages directory. Okay, so caching in Next.js, the way it works is by default on the server component, everything's cached. By default. There are different things that you can put in your code that will turn the caching off. So let me explain that. Let's go to some of our slots, for example. Let's do some things. So For instance, what's a good thing I can do here? So let's do this. I'm going to go into my current user. we're going to make a log here. Console log get user. So this is going to say get user, and then I'm just going to let's just turn this off for. Or actually, we'll just leave it. We'll just see a number. So let's see. Let's run this. I'm gonna refresh this. I'm gonna do a hard refresh. Actually, let me clear my console. We'll do a hard refresh. Okay. We saw get user 3 times. That makes sense because we have 3 slots that each do it once. So we saw it 3 times, right? If I refresh it again, we see it again 3 times. So it's clear that this, in this case, is not caching. We're not caching by default with this scenario. And that's because we're using something that Next.js has determined is dynamic and should not be cached. And that's going to be cookies. Because we're using cookies in this function, which is per request, Next.js is smart enough to know oh, I should not cache this because this function depends on a dynamic value like cookies, which can change every single request. So therefore, it should not be cached. It's just going to get the same user though. It's going to hit the database and get the same user 3 different times or n amount of times or however many times I'm calling this function in one request. It's going to get it that many times. That's kind of redundant. So in this case, we don't want to do a persistent cache because then that way it would always read the same cookie that it read last time. And if someone logged out, we would never catch it. But what we do want to do is a per request cache. We want to memoize this. So on the same request, it won't do the same function more than once. So that's what we would want in this scenario. So the best way to do that is going to be with the cache function from React. So if you get the cache function from React, you can just wrap it around this. Pretty simple. Oh, okay, why was it doing that? And then we'll just say cache this. This is a per request memoization. So now if I put the log in here, let's see what happens. We're going to go back, I'm going to refresh, and I see user 1 time now instead of 3 times. This one's pretty cool. So suspense loading states. If you don't know what suspense is, it's basically it allows your component to wait until some data comes back before you render something. It's the best way I can describe it. And then you can show a fallback while it's waiting. So perfect place for a loading indicator. That's suspense. What's actually happening is that component's being streamed down chunk by chunk. So that way you're not blocking a whole page while something is loading. So that's suspense. We're going to get that for free by doing one thing. The other thing is going to be the error handling. So React introduced this thing called an error boundary, which is like a try catch for a component tree. So if you can wrap a component tree inside of error boundary, it'll try catch that and show a certain page when that error bubbles up to it. Okay, we get that for free too by just making a file. So we'll be doing both of those, and we'll be able to see in more detail how the caching works as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make some loading files. So all I have to do is everywhere you have a page, if you add a loading file next to it, that will show while that page is waiting for its data to resolve. You can also put an error file next to that page, and that will show if an error was thrown while that page was trying to fetch data. So let's do that. The only caveat here is that the error file must be a client component because the error gets caught during runtime, and the error boundaries happen at runtime, and also so you can do things like on click and you can reset them back to a previous state and things like that. The loading component could be server or client. Doesn't really matter. But the error one has to be client. You'll get an error if you don't. So let's do that. So I'm gonna go right here on the root of dashboard, and I'm gonna make a loading.tsx for the home page, which is the bottom right on the grid. So loading.tsx. I'm gonna say home loader And for now, I'm just going to pass in something like that. Actually, the component library that we have has some really good loaders. You know what? Let's just leverage one of those. Why am I being lazy? They have a spinner. This is not even the best one. The best one is the skeleton, but I don't feel like making that. So I'll do this. I'll do the spinner. I think because this is a server component, you have to import directly from the component like that. So I have to import directly from spinner and not this /react, which will import some client-side stuff, which might throw an error in the server-side component. So I'll do a spinner here. I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna go into our RSVPs folder, make a loading.tsx. Do the same thing, just change the name from home to RSVPs. Going to my events, do the same thing. Loading.tsx, paste that, change this from home to events. Now we got some loaders. So if I go back and I refresh, okay, now you can see the caching. So I'm just doing a regular refresh. Look how quick those things come in. You barely see the loaders, okay? Barely see the loaders. I'll do a hard refresh, and you can see this is what it looks like without caching. So without caching, with caching.